There we go. So that thing will mess up the engine, I think. So we've got one, I think, a small one going as well. That's very, very small.
Hello guys, and welcome back to Td5 TV. Last time on this little mini-series we're doing on Nisse's Discovery, we tried to display the issue at hand, but it didn't come up despite 30 minutes of driving around.
I'm trying to prove the point, nothing's going to happen. It's perfectly fine.
It's not going to do it.
It's not going to do it. It's too shy on camera to do it.
So Nisse did his best to try and explain what was going on. We just have to believe him that this is really happening and we're not just replacing an engine for no reason. So this is the new engine, if you didn't see the previous video, that we will be swapping into Nisse's Disco 2, and today we're going to do some prep work on it to get it ready to go in.
That prep work pretty much consists of replacing all the seals, the oil gaskets, or anything that's really annoying to get to, the same with the exhaust studs and so on. And we're also going to paint the block and all the aluminium, or some of the aluminium parts, to make it look nicer than it is now. But it already looked pretty nice after a wash, but we've got some rust on the block that I want to get rid of. And also we're going to take out the injectors, all 5 of them, and then we've got a bore scope, and we're going to look into the cylinder heads and see how they look inside. If they're completely messed up and rusted or anything, we kind of know by then that if it's worth replacing. We're going to wash them and put new seals on, but first we need to see if there's any oil in it, because the dipstick says there's a tiny bit of oil, but I haven't cleaned them, put it down and just pulled it like no oil in them. So we're going to have a look at that and then turn the engine around, because we've got small metal bits in here, like small metal aluminium buttons that comes from the rocker cover in the engine roll. They get knocked off, or they got knocked off, and then now they're in here somewhere. I think I found 3, I think that's 7 or so in total. So we're just going to turn the engine around and then spray a lot of brake cleaner in here so we can get those to fall out. And of course they're not magnetic because they're from the aluminium cover, so we can't just use a magnet to go through it. So that's going to be job number 1 to get that done. Yeah.
If you didn't see the previous episode, I recommend going and watching it, because we revealed that this engine was in fact damaged in transportation, which is why Nisse was saying that we need to, turn it over and potentially get bits of metal out of it, because things broke, unfortunately. It should be salvageable, but it came with a very special turbo. So maybe it's a hyperdrive, I don't know. We'll find out
when we refit this turbo.
Yes.
I'm just removing these blocks here. These blocks were put on the RB25 engine when it was transported, because it was very wiggly on it, and it's always sketchy to put an engine in one of these engine mounts here, hoist stands. So right now we're just going to remove this block which the whole engine is resting on, so we can actually turn the block around. But I have no idea what the weight capabilities on this one is, or the block is, but it supported the RB25 pretty good, and that's also a cast iron block with an extra cylinder, so hopefully it should be a problem. But if this engine drops down, we'll have a nice reel to post on Facebook or Instagram or anything. It's a pretty expensive engine to get these days, so fingers crossed. And there's like a really cheap engine stand as well. We'll lift up the engine and push the wood block away, hopefully. I wasn't worried. You were, not me. I was totally fine with that. I knew it was going to hold. Yeah. Just to get a perspective of it, the only thing holding this engine in are these 4 bolts here that goes about that far into the block. That one, the same on the other side. That's the only thing holding this whole engine here. There's like 300 kilos of metal holding that up. We're going to see how it droops down a bit as well. Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. No worries. So we're going to take the sump off, or the oil drain the rest of the oil in it. As you can see here, this clearly says that. Maybe not, maybe there's no oil in it. We're just going to drain it, just to be sure before we turn it over. We've got 3 liters of oil all over the workshop floor here. Then we're going to twist it around, take the sump off, and start looking for the metal bits on the top. Work our way through there, turn around again, pull injectors, have a look inside, clean the injectors. And then we'll have a look at these studs here. These can be a pretty hard job to remove because they can break, and if they break, you're gonna have to drill them and pull them out. It's a nightmare. Luckily, I haven't tried that yet, but today might be the day that I'm gonna experience that. And then we got, as I showed last time, brand new bolts from Heli Sport, like the heavy-duty extended stud kit that we're gonna replace it with, and also clean the whole exhaust part here, and maybe do a bit of grinding just to, because they're really, really rough. The inside is like sandpaper, so we can maybe just do a Dremel with some sandpaper and just clean them up a bit with the cylinder or the valve closed, of course. First up, drain the oil. Okay, let's see. It was a good oil.
Actually, quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there was oil in there. Which is, I think it's good, because that means that the whole inside here has been under oil, so water can't get to and rust the bearings or anything. Of course, the oil doesn't go in here. Would you imagine if we turned this engine around with this amount of oil in it and everything would start pouring? But yeah, oil looks very black. Now what you can't see, this barrel is just a hole in the floor that just goes like 10 meters down. This is what the old Land Rover manual says, you just dump the oil in a hole you dug.
Because that was acceptable in the 70s.
It was. Not anymore. A lot of things was acceptable in the 70s.
You probably would advise to have a cigarette while you change the oil.
Yeah, you actually need to have a cigarette. Now there's some small bits here, but I'm pretty sure these are from, before we emptied out. Because this pan got used to a lot of other things. It would probably be an idea if I cleaned this before I took the oil out and got a proper look at it. I think in places like Ferrari, Nissan, like the high-end factories, this would probably be like an operating room with everything just being clean. This is more like a bathtub in, I don't know, Rio de Janeiro, where you just got your kidneys pulled out. Now we're pulling that guy apart, so yeah. It'll work. Lying safe hands. There's going to be oil everywhere. I don't think we can stop that from happening. But maybe damage control a tiny bit. This guy over here, like that. And then here we go. These will break. Oh, so slow. Yeah. Small break, let's go cut these to length first. That's gonna up that. Stopping the twisting motion. I think we're just gonna remove the oil pan. While we start doing a lot of sparks on the floor. Probably still doesn't catch fire. Alright.
Nothing is on fire, so that's a success.
I think we're going to leave it at this angle, maybe a tiny bit steeper, and then just start spraying diesel cleaner in there, or brake cleaner, and see if it'll come out. And we'll probably hear when it hits the oil pan. It'll bonk. But again, I've no idea how many there are in there. I think there's 7 missing, and I think I found 3. And they are like small chewable pill size. Well, definitely mess up the engine, and those goes into the engine at some point. So I'm just gonna remove the rock arm here to gain some more excess. I can't remember if you do it. I think actually you do it from outside to in. Just more important when you put it back together. I think I only saw one go in. It was like part 1. We might have to maybe flip the engine all the way around and see if it drops out. go. So that thing will mess up the engine, I think. So we've got one, I think, as well, a small one going as well. That's very, very small. In here. That's right then. Turn him all the way around. I'm gonna make a mess of this one. So, I think next up will be removing the oil pan, but I think I'm just going to try and clean it up first, because I want to paint it, as I said. I think it's more easy to clean it while sitting on it here. I'm just going to take the oil return line from the rotating filter off. Then I'm going to clean it up and pull that off, and then we have a small look inside. We can't see much because it's like I think in a way, like the oil pump sits up here. We've got a metal strengthening device thingy. We'll have a look, get this painted nice silver. I want silver, not any other color, because then you can see the oil if that starts leaking out. It'll be very, very clear. If you've got completely clean canvas, you can't see if somebody threw oil on it. About the same here. So I think we're going to hit it with a rotating brush, see how much we can get off it. Just at big scales here. And then maybe clean it once more with some oil degreaser. And then we're going to paint it. That's an engine. Now on my other one that we're going to replace, I had a aluminium sticker in the pickup tube. So this tube here sucks the oil out from the sump and then goes into the pump, which is here, which is chain driven. That bolt, dreadful bolt, is the one that's right in front of here, because in the 10p, I think, I don't know if you also did it in the 15p, but that was not Loctited in. So that meant that one could back out, which means there was no drive onto the oil pump, which means no oil pressure, and then the engine dies. If you're on the highways within 10 seconds, pretty much, yeah, it's going to die. So happy to see that one's in place. But yeah, the oil pickup sump here, I had a huge aluminium sticker from an oil filter, something stuck in here, which pretty much took up half of the space that the engine could suck oil up in. So it was a bit nice to find that in there and actually clean it up. But I don't know if you should remove the oil pickup and clean it, because there's some debris and stuff in here. Bits of things, so we might have to take the oil pickup off and have that cleaned. Or we could take it off and put it into the clean over there. I'll do that. Start this one. So we just flip the engine around again. I took out the old oil seal here and we're going to replace it with that one. We're not going to do it right now, which is quite annoying to get to, so I'll fill with that later. This is the old one. It looks fine. I saw a Facebook post on from a company called, I think it's Stag Land Rover, something like that, who rebuilds Td5 from the bottom up. So if you really want a good engine, I think you'll reach out to those guys. But he had a Facebook post, a video where he said people putting RCV as sealant around here is not a good idea, because this already got its own seal from it, and it's not going to help putting even more RTV on it. So if we're trying to seal it up, because this, like the oil, is right next to it here, so if this starts leaking, all the engine oil is going to piss out into the gearbox compartment, clutch compartment. But this oil seal, as long as you do the prep work and clean around the edges before you install the new one, it shouldn't be a problem. And as well, just took some sandpaper around the end of the crank, just to make sure that the new seal has a good coupling to it. Swap the engine around, hold the first injector with my handy dandy tool here. You can get a tool that's made for it, but it's quite expensive, and I just made this and it works fine. A lot of people do it this way. So we pull the first injector out, and look how clean that tip is. You might not think it's clean, but it's actually very, very clean compared to the other ones I've got in it now. These are looking very, very nicely. So again, in here, this is your small oil seal, or not oil seal, flame ring. Call it what you want, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like an injector seal where the combustion happens from this part and downwards. So this end here gets a lot of abuse every time the engine cycles. It's going to see a small explosion here. That means you have some stuff corroding or like build up onto it, so you need to clean that out. And then you can't see them right now, we have tiny holes right on the end here, which is where the diesel is then injected into the cylinder for combustion. And what we're going to replace is we're going to clean up this. We're going to clean pretty much the whole thing in the ultrasonic cleaner, clean up the tip of it, put a new ring onto it, as well as a new O-ring up here. You get those as a kit. I would recommend getting the original Land Rover parts. I don't think this is original, because they're normally green, the rings goes onto it. I can't remember which ones I got, but I would suggest getting the original ones just to make sure they're going to hold up. And then we've got a bore scope, and hopefully we can fit it into that hole, but I don't think actually we can. I think it's too small. Otherwise we're going to have a look and take the glow plugs out and see if we can get the camera through that end. And then, but we're going to pull all of these 5 out, or the 4 remaining, clean those out in the ultrasonic cleaner. And again, it doesn't matter which way they go back in, because we're going to recode the whole thing anyway. But we're just going to put them up 1 to 5 just so we can have a look and see if anything's wrong. We can look at the tip of the injector, saying, that might be the problem, or it's a faulty injector, or something like that. So we're going to crack on and pull out the next 4. And number 2 injector, got a lot of diesel in it, which is nice. And that also looks very, very clean. Because normally the whole end here will just be completely black, but here we can actually see some metal underneath. So these will clean up real good. Number 3. Number 4. Got a bit more to this one. And last cylinder, also looking very nice and clean. Although we've got, I don't know, blackness here. You can smear off. And that oil got into it. Now, if you were to do and replace the rings on them, you need to remember to put them in the right spots. From here, I've got 1 to 5. Which I used last time as well, but on the injectors you've got a small number, which in this one says NCGFH. That code needs to be coded into the ECU. You can run it without coding them, but from the factory they each got a stamp on it, because they got a slight deviation in how each performs. And by putting this number in, the engine knows, is that kind of this type of injector, then I need to know I need to open it a millisecond after or before, just to get the best fuel consumption and best power wise. You need to do it that way. So remember that. But for us, we're going to recode all of them, so it doesn't matter if number 5 goes in the first, or swap any of them around, because we're going to recode them and they're going to work the same. But we're still missing some metal pieces. For now the injectors out, we can maybe spot one or 2 more of them. I think we must have gotten all of them. Try the inspection ball camera and see if I can go into that hole, but I don't think I can. I think it's a too tight hole. But maybe we can just see the top of the cylinder, otherwise I don't think it'll go into the glow plug hole either, but we'll try. Nope. Just misses. Half a millimeter too big. I can like feel it wants to go into the hole, but we'll see if we can see anything from the top. I doubt we can because there will be no light in it, or maybe we can. Oh, saw something. Okay, I can't really see much, we just see the top of the cylinder. The piston in there. So that was a fail. All the ends here on the injectors are looking very, very nice. What we need to look for now is any cracks in the heads. If you got a Td5 and you have all of a sudden a lot more oil in it than what you put in it, it's most likely a cracked head, or it could be this O-ring up here that has gone, because this O-ring is stopping diesel from exiting the top of the injector seats and then going into the oil. It could also be a cracked head. So if we have a look here, so what we want to look for here on the ejector seat is any kind of cracks around this outer edge here that could indicate that it has split into it. And that could be heat, that could be wear, that could be how the plug is drilled. We can see on this one we have something, I think it's just scratches down here because we've got a lot of them, but we've got something down here which is worth looking for. But it's the only cylinder that has it, and I don't think it's cracked because it don't go all the way up. I'm pretty sure there's just some scratches in it. So we're just going to make sure all the injectors here are completely clean. I might just leave them dipped in the diesel here for when I'm going to install them probably next week, just to make sure that we've got all the water out. Otherwise it's going to be quite hard to purge it. But yeah, I'm very happy with the look of them. The only thing is, I've seen there's pretty much all the Td5 injectors I've had out. Oh, we have some kind of, I don't know if it's like a rubber gasket or sealing in here, or if it is just old stuff. I want to do it into the engine, or if it's just like unburnt diesel getting up into this part here, because I cleaned it on mine and that ran fine, but I don't think I want to clean it all out. I just want to do so it can seal properly. But if anybody knows if the tip here is press fitted into it, if it's okay to clean this out, please leave it in the comments. I think on this one I'm just going to leave it. As long as it seals, I'll be more than fine with that. But the injectors on this one compared to mine are a lot cleaner. I had my cylinder number 1, my injector actually had like a small bulge going inwards because of usage, and the heat cycles, the tip started to deform, which is not very good. But these ones all look the same, and I could clean them up very, very easily with the brush and a tiny bit of sandpaper. And I don't want to scratch them all the way into the surface, I just want to get the outer layer off to have a look at them. And you can't see it, but there are tiny, tiny holes here on the top, which of course also need to be cleaned. That's why I got the ultrasonic cleaner, because we'll go in and clean these parts here and make them look good and new. So that concludes the first day of major service on this engine here. We got the injectors out, we got new oil seals. Really happy with how the injectors looked, so I'm pretty pleased with that. All I can say that this is 100% only 116,000 K engine. which is very happy about to hear that. See that we replaced the rear oil seal. Good thing to do when you're doing a clutch change. Well, now we've got the engine out. We took the sump off, and I'm going to clean that and paint that for next time. The same with some other bits and bobs here and there. I'm going to strip them off and get those cleaned. We didn't get around to do the exhaust stuff, but we'll do that next weekend. We'll pretty much snap my fingers and we'll be there, start extracting those out. But I think that this concludes the first stage of that.